Hi everybody and welcome back to the Goodell life. So today is just a video on how I make some bread for Joe. He really likes the more seedy type breads, but they're so expensive in the store. They're like $5 a loaf and they have so many preservatives in them, I find, unless you get the like $10 a loaf ones. And honestly, at $10 a loaf I can just make it. So I've been making some bread for him for a few weeks now and he likes this recipe the best. But in this video I tried to double it, and if you double it, it does work, but don't do what I'm about to do with the quinoa. So the original recipe calls for microwaving the quinoa and they make it sound super fast and easy, and it did work when it was 1, but when it's 2 it takes so much time and it does not go as smoothly as I thought. So I would definitely recommend just cooking the quinoa and putting it in when it's cool. It is a much safer way to do it. So this is the part where I realized that while my Epicure steamer set is amazing for so many things, cooking quinoa for this recipe is not one of them, because there's vents and so the steam kind of escapes and it doesn't really cook. I wasted probably half an hour microwaving this total and it made a terrible mess. So like I said earlier, just do it the old way on the stove and cook your quinoa like a normal person would. Don't waste your time doing it in the microwave like the recipe calls for it. Unless you're only doing one, then it's not the worst, but it's honestly still just easier to cook it on the stove. Also, shout out to Epicure for making like some of the best kitchen utensils. This isn't a plug by any means because I don't sell Epicure, because while I have more stock than most people in town that sell Epicure do, I just really don't care to do home parties. But this little measuring spoon thing is the bomb. I love it so much. If you know anybody who sells Epicure, just get it because it's amazing. So I ended up having to switch the quinoa back into the original bowl because the Epicure one has a vent, so the steam was leaving. But also then I realized because I had doubled the recipe, it probably takes more than 10 minutes to cook. So it's been about 20 minutes now since I started the quinoa stuff. So we'll see what turns out. I have no idea. So this is where the whole thing went wrong. It was going so well, and then I added the quinoa that was way too watery in, and it would not mix, it would not stay formed. I tried kneading it, and then I just honestly got upset and I left it and went inside the couch for a little bit. When I came back, because there's yeast in it, it kept growing. I didn't know what to do, and every time I turned around it just kept growing and growing, and so I ended up just stuffing it in a plastic bag in the freezer out of desperation to make it just stop, because it was like a nightmare. So I added my quinoa and it's not working. Like, to the point that I need to throw this entire batch out, and I'm very upset because it's been about an hour at this point, maybe even longer, of me trying to get this to work. And this recipe takes a really long time to do because it takes so much time to rise. It takes about, I want to say like 3.5 hours of rising time, and I've wasted an hour of that now trying to get the quinoa to mix. So I have to completely start over from scratch. I think I might have added too much water to the quinoa when doubling the recipe. I don't really know what went wrong, but I think what it is that I had too much liquid in the quinoa when I mixed it. It's basically like a big bowl of oatmeal right now. I would touch it, but it's, I just finished washing my hands. Oh, let me use a spatula to show you. So in the, sentiment of being honest and open, I'll show you this mess. So it's not really a dough. You can see the parts that were the dough before. It looked so perfect. And then when I added the quinoa, oops, this is hard to do with one hand. It kind of just turned like into a thing of oatmeal. It's not really forming. It's not really sticking together as one. I keep trying to form it into something, and it's just really, really not working. So attempt number 2, I guess. So round 2 turned out a lot better so far. It's currently rising. Oops, there we are. Currently rising in here. I can't really see because it's a metal bowl. I forgot it was metal, but I have it in a warmed oven. I set my ovens to the keep warm setting to try to rise the bread a bit faster. It says to let it rise for about an hour to hour and a half, or no, hour and a half to 2 hours. So we'll see. I'm going to do an hour and check on it. Might have to do an hour and a half. It's 5:30 at this point, so I've literally spent all day doing this. So we'll see. It better turn out. I will let you see after. So the second attempt has now risen. It's been about an hour and 45, maybe 2 hours. It's taking up a lot more room. I'd say that's more than doubled. I've done my parchment slings. That's my hand soap that we picked up. And now I'm going to divide it into the 2 loaf pans. So I think next time I make this recipe, because we have quite a bit of bread right now, I would make this maybe enough for 3 loaves for the size of loaf pans I have. I have larger size loaf pans, so it doesn't quite fill up as tall as a regular piece of bread does, because it is also quite heavy, but you can just cut the bread a little bit thicker, and it is really filling and really hearty, which is nice for sandwich. now I've got my two. This one, I didn't punch down as much. There we go. I use these little clips on the sides to hold the parchment paper while I'm filling it. I've taken the bread out now, and it needs to get to 205, so it's not quite there on the big loaf. Let's check the smaller one. Joe, stop scratching. I am. So it's not quite there yet either. Really struggling. So we'll throw it back in for another 5 to 10 minutes. Take a peek, you can see that it's already deflated quite a bit. It's not quite over the edge. I think part of this is because these are bigger pans than a standard loaf pan, so I didn't have put enough dough, but that's okay. Joe just has a little bit of extra pieces, which is fine. I also forgot to add, I did an egg wash and added on some quinoa and flax seed on top as a topping. So now I've taken the bread out. It's not as deep as I'd like or as tall as a normal piece of bread, but just kind of make it a little bit thicker. It ends up working out okay. But looks pretty yummy. Let me know below if you also make your own bread and what kind of recipes you like. I'm going to have to start making gluten-free bread too, so in a few weeks look for a video on that. And like always, like and subscribe. See you guys later.